Agent Fall is an action game that's clearly inspired by retro classics. It's a brief and fun little game. The controls pretty simple and also has an even simpler premise. The context behind the story is basically that there's an intergalactic government conspiracy where the government is actually working with aliens and you as an agent need to bring an end to this alliance. It's a bit weird of a premise just because you look like a government agent yourself, so I don't fully understand it, but hey, it's a pixel art game, so the story is really not that important anyways. In Agent Fall, you have 3 different difficulty levels that you can choose between when you start up the game, and additionally, you can play this either solo or local co-op. There is no online, it's only local. Then you have your choice between 4 different agents. It says that they play differently. They didn't really seem that different to me, but, you know, aesthetically they're at least different. And as a result, you'll also get a different ending depending on which character you complete the game as. It's a side-scrolling run-and-gun shooter that plays similar to other games in the genre. It doesn't do anything new, but it does take some clear inspiration from retro greats. The controls are really simple. Basically uses 3 buttons. One will be your shoot, one will be your jump, and one will be your grenade throw. Enemies come visually in quite a few different forms, but for the most part they play in 3 separate classes. One will shoot projectiles, one is melee, and then one throws grenades or projectiles at you. So expect those 3 different enemy types. There are several different levels, and each and every one of them does have some different hazards, some different enemies, and different design elements. So it does keep the game interesting, but this is a really short game, so you'll see all of its content fairly quickly. It took me less than 40 minutes to play through all of the levels and beat the game on the normal difficulty, which is the middle one, and unlock all of the achievements. It has a really great pixel art style, and the music is fairly decent. There are some pretty fun boss fights at the end of most levels. Not every level has a boss fight, but each and every one of these felt very like NES era boss fight. Like if you think about Contra, for example, the boss fights, you know, the bosses usually have a few different attacks, and once you learn their patterns, you'll know how to dodge them and how to counterattack. The boss fights are like that, and I do enjoy that simple design. Over the course of your adventure, there's also some different pickups that you can grab. Some will give you increased health, like armor vests, I think they are, and then there's also health pickups, which are med kits to replenish some of your health. As you play through, you're going to be also earning points, which will earn you 1-ups so that you don't get a game over. And then there's also a variety of different weapon pickups. This has that like Contra style of weapon pickups where they're different weapons, but if you die, you will lose them. So be careful when you grab one of these. There's a flamethrower, a minigun, a shotgun, a machine gun, you know, all those typical weapons that we see in a lot of games like this. And then the other aspect of the level design that I actually kind of liked is that there are some sequences that play a bit different. There's one in particular that reminded me of like a mix between Battletoads and Contra, where you're riding a bike and you're just moving up and down essentially on the plane, but you have different hazards and enemies coming at you from both sides of the screen. So it does mix up the gameplay a decent amount. And overall, this is a fun game. It's ultimately up to you to decide if it's worth the price for just 30 to 40 minutes of playtime. You could essentially play through this more if you're interested in the permadeath hard mode, or if you want to play through it with all the different characters. I did find this to be a decently fun game, and I did enjoy my time with it. But the last thing I do want to mention, and I don't know how prevalent this is on the other platforms, but I played this on Xbox, and I did encounter a crash on the first boss fight. But since the game saves pretty frequently, it has an autosave system, I really didn't lose that much progress. I was almost done with the first boss when it happened, so I did have to do the whole fight over. But Since it saves so frequently, honestly, the crash wasn't that big of a deal. So this was Agent Fall. It's a run and gun 2D shooter that has enough variety across its gameplay to feel fun. Doesn't do anything overly spectacular, but doesn't really do anything that's terrible either. So it's a, probably like a 7 out of 10 game, and one that I enjoyed. So if it looked interesting to you, you should definitely give it a play, because it's worth the 30 to 40 minutes it'll take you to play through this. I hope you enjoyed this review. If you did, make sure to like the video, comment below if you have any questions, and subscribe if you haven't done so already. And if you have, hey, appreciate you being here. But until next time, have a good one.